Now in studio, we want to talk about matters of virtual reality, what it is and what is happening in Kenya. Quite an exciting project happening, and we want to have that conversation. On to my left, my first interviewee is Professor Aleksandra Lukaszewicz. Did I get that right?
Yes, very well. Thank you.
Right.
Welcome.
She is a coordinator and a researcher and a professor in that particular project at the Polish Society for Aesthetics, as well as Professor Helen Elias, who is seated right next to her. Welcome on set. She is from the Faculty of Fine Art, University of FBAUL. Welcome on set, ladies. Let's just start with the very basics. What is virtual reality?
The terms virtual reality, mixed reality and augmented reality are appearing quite often nowadays, and everybody heard it and is using in different contexts. This makes this term popular, but also creates a kind of confusion. What does it really mean? So if we think about virtual reality, it is the reality that is computer generated, immersive and responsive, that is interactive with the one being inside. And here we can think of different approaches to virtual reality, either as having it one and then referring to different virtual reality environments. So we can have virtual reality academia, virtual reality shop where we can buy some clothes, or virtual reality trainings, and these are situated in different environments. So we might talk about virtual reality in general, embracing them all. Mm-hmm. But we can also talk about each of them as a kind of small virtual reality created, elaborated and presented. So then we have got many. But this kind of reality is the reality that you experience, as for now, using glasses, virtual reality glasses, goggles, and then you see all around the new world, the world that we are deciding how we will build, mm-hmm. and what we can do there, how we can relate with the others. So there are a lot of things further going on from this concept of construing new realities. Because we have to think that they are realities. They are real, although construed from different kind of matter. They are not physical, they are digital. But this, what is digital, also exists. You know, our digital friendships exist. You know, if we are working online digitally, it is also real. So we shouldn't think about virtual reality as just opposed to physical reality in such a way that one is real and the other not. Mm-hmm. They are both real, but one is physical and one is digital. Mm-hmm. And then when we think about mixed realities, then we have got an overlaying layers of different kinds of matter, reality. There is something physical, something digital, and in different measures. So also here we can employ the term of hybridity. Because, for example, we can be live, physically localized, but also online talking with our friends. And this is already connecting two layers of reality. But we can be in a game mode. We can construe some spaces that are combining physical and digital in different ways. And there comes a concept of augmented reality, that is a specific version of mixed reality, adding digital layer to something that is physically in place. Mm-hmm. So then you can develop a certain narrative, for example, embodied in the object in this augmented version, or you can have a game, you can have a play. It can be something new added to the one that exists in the place.
Right, so it's quite a world of possibilities really when it comes to virtual reality. I'll come to you, Helena. I mean, when you talk about virtual reality, there is something exciting that is happening in Kenya. Yeah, that is why you're here. The communities and artistic participation in hybrid environments. So just tell us what it is about, and I mean, why you're here.
We are here because we feel a great empathy with the way in Kenya people embrace these new technologies. And we have now visited a lot of startups and creative entrepreneurs that can help us and share their knowledge as well within our project, because the project is about participation, art and communities in hybrid environments. And I think this is pretty set up in Kenya. So our idea is to have a partner in Kenya, which is Kenyatta University, working with us in getting a better world. And that comes also to deal with virtual environments, as Professor Aleksandra was telling. It's about engaging, it's about embodying, it's about emotionally creative and co-creating. And this is possible with all of these existing and emergent technologies. And so we are doing this brainstorming now in Kenya with multiple partners. We have CAPHE is coordinated by Wałęsa University in Poland, but it has regional partners. So the project has partners from different countries: Poland, Italy, Greece, Kenya, Portugal. So we have all these, and UK as well. So we have all these, I would say, dots that can be connected and give further developments on that. And I'm talking about creation, education, go further thinking, in critical thinking on these tools. So it's a wide range of possibilities with our partners here.
For the developed world, of course, their use of virtual reality is a bit more advanced than it is in Kenya. So
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say that.
Not really.
All right.
No.
It is a bit different, but it is not. In anything, it is not less.
It's not any less. Right. So how are you looking at these panning out in the country?
So I think that it is very interesting dialogue in the sphere of VR and AR that we have started now from European perspective with African perspective through Kenya, because we are complementing each other in the spheres where VR can be used, can be applied. For example, here in Nairobi, we have seen a lot of startups that are oriented on commercial issues and also on social issues. And this is very interesting, because I didn't come across such applications that widely used in Europe. But we have got more academic application and artistic applications. So, for example, what does it mean? That there are like different educational trainings with a social bond here, and there are virtual reality shops and different kind of initiatives also having in mind this commercial side. And we are developing, for example, Academia Electronica. First it was Second Life, then Alspace. Now we will migrate to Decentraland, but it is the full-fledged, maybe not full-fledged, but it is recognized as academic place, and there are regular university courses being held in VR. Or we are also realizing art exhibitions in VR. It was very interesting during one of the meetings during our study tours. It was in Black Rhino VR with one of the guys. We were sharing what we are doing. And in similar spaces, he showed me on his mobile phone, look, it is my shop. And I say, oh, in similar space, I made an exhibition. So it is rather complementing different applications and the uses of VR. And what I found very interesting was also when we were in Baraza Media and meeting also with the fellow Hyde, it was expressed precisely that Kenyans, Africans want to make their appearance in this new world we are construing very very explicit, because they notice that this world is in the process of building. So there is a possibility to mark one's own narratives and stories and presence well enough.
Very important. So for the project that you're conducting in Kenya, I see that you want to bridge the cultural gap, you know, and bring that into the VR space. Could you speak to that, Professor Helena?
Well, you can do it in different areas and different perspectives, but one thing is that new technologies can really make us think about how heritage can be disseminated and created in repositioning this cultural heritage in a new environment. Because it's more about how we can, with these tools, you know, think through the making of virtual reality regarding cultural heritage. For instance, just an example, we are talking, for instance, about you know, preserving sculptures, things that will not last forever, for instance. And this is a way that you can scan it and put it in virtual reality and experience it, even if you know that 100 years from now the sculpture won't be there in stone because it will be degraded. So this is one of the possibilities, and it is cultural heritage when it comes 100 years from now. So we need to think cultural heritage as something that is always transforming and not only the past. So present now is also cultural heritage as it was in the past. So these connections have to be built and continued. And there are, for instance, in art domain, which I work on that, it's about thinking these multiple possibilities about, for instance, how a student of art may preserve his works or her works afterwards. It's building a kind of virtual portfolio as well.
Right.
Even if it's not going to sell it in virtual reality. So there are lots of possibilities.
I'm curious about the cultural heritage bit. Is there a risk of maybe losing the authenticity during, you know, the transformation process? And maybe will these not make people who are normally very serious about preserving these things be like, well, there's an option here. I mean, we don't have to be too keen with preserving the original thing.
This is an important issue and is taken up by United Nations, and there are already recommendations on the preservation of digital cultural heritage issued.
Okay.
And although there are like two paths if we are thinking about this digital cultural heritage, because it can be either digitalized or digital born. So this is from the past, as Helena was saying, or from the present. And this digitalization of cultural heritage is a recognized path to preserve it, to preserve it for the future generation, lower the risk of some damage to the original pieces, assure the broader dissemination and access to these artworks, to these objects. So, and here there is not much fear about losing one's identity.
Okay.
And it is because this initial physical cultural heritage that is digitalized is belonging to a certain culture, to a certain nation, to a certain country. And this is not that easy when we are thinking about digital-born cultural heritage. What do we mean about this? Then we are not creating kind of digital twins of the objects that are physical, but creating something completely new, like in virtual reality. And there are already galleries, museums where you can see and interact with the objects that were designed and created exactly for this space. And they are very often of this kind that it is impossible to make easily a copy of them into the physical world. So it is very specific, their interactivity, reacting on voice, on movement, getting immersed in the thing. There are a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of potentiality in this new matter, although there are also some other limitations. But then if we have got this new artworks being created, this is cultural heritage, digital born, but does it belong to a nation, to country, to to culture, or maybe to server? Where does it belong? Because where is it grounded? It is grounded on some server, on some platform. So it is not that easy to think how it should be done, how it should be preserved, also considering, the technological changes in mediums that causes the process, causes problems in the process of retrieving some information from the old media, for example. So there are a lot of things on the way, and the recommendation concerning digital-born cultural heritage are still on the way.
They're still on the way, of course. For this particular technology to take effect, what exactly will it take? What are the nitty-gritties of the project?
What are the objects of the project, yes?
No.
Okay, so generally it is a research project focused mostly on staff exchange and sharing knowledge transfer, doing things together, being oriented on artistic creation and community building potential of art in new hybrid spaces. So we are thinking about this change that we experience in process of creation, perception, also its distribution when we are moving from physical to digital, yes, generally, and also how does this art potential for community building works in different environments. This is very important. And I think that it is something important that we are sharing, bringing from our expertise in this VR realities. That we can think not just through services and goods, but also through spaces that we can share experiences with, where we can be together, create something together. Experience something together, being from different parts of the world. Of course, you can switch off everybody on your Google glasses and be alone. But we are thinking to develop this community building potential through art in these new art spaces. So then we are investigating different paths, this creative process together with the exhibiting and distributing, educational process with the engaging new technologies. This is something very specific also to the work in Portugal, in Lisbon, and of Professor Helen Elias. Maybe she can talk more about it. Also, like rethinking already existing the objects with the students, with the augmented reality, for example, creating new narration, decolonizing art. So there are a lot of possibilities of implementing in educational sphere. And we are, so there is this artistic, educational, and also commercial. Yes, we have got also a part of our partners that are coming from this field. Working in avatarization and mobile games applications for urban spaces, for discovering, like Athens. Maybe it will be done also for Nairobi by narratologies from the startup from Greece. So generally we are researching, and what will come up, there will be books, there will be exhibitions, there will be new art courses. Quite a lot of things.
Quite a lot of outputs, I would say, are possible. In the field of education, you can think that art also bears a tradition. It has been almost during centuries materialized in wood, stone, if you think about sculpture, or pigments for painting. But now you have new realities. The augmented reality, the virtual, or the mixed reality. And this also poses questions to our students. For instance, in sculpture, if they are working in stone or wood, how the new technologies can, engage with the creative process, because they are in artistic training. But they are being educated in exploring creatively things. So this will be an add-on, a surplus to the curricula.
Right.
Okay.
for the artists, of course, I mean, this is a very timely project. The Kenyan government is focusing on the creative economy and ensuring that the young people are exploiting their creative talents and making money out of it. So how are artists going to benefit from this?
Both of us, we can speak about it, because yes, the art market is being reconfigured with these new technologies, and this relates not only to VR but also to NFTs, for example, that are democratizing art market and opening it for new subjects, so that it is also possible to assure revenue to the artist with the subsequent purchases of his or her work when it is encoded in blockchain. So yes, one has to get to know the technologies, but then the possibility to get something out of it are really big ones. And yes.
There are many possibilities. I think, for instance, we also have a long tradition in sculpture in Kenya, and working with wood, the carving. And how about artists from the new generations using the tools, digital tools, to continue that path? How this is a challenging thing that is being now discussed in our group, and I think it promises a lot. How can we, if we were using, for instance, the brush, the stone, the wood, and now digital. So now tools are not just the brush or the power machines, are digitals. So how can we embrace and engage? And there's been a potentiality for that with the startups, and we will promise you, but we can tell all the story now. But it's going on.
Right.
Yes. But for sure, also a lot of visual artists can change the space of their activity, and this new world. It's not just visual, it can be haptic. You have a kinesthetic sense while being there. You can smell when some technology is used, but to a large extent it is visual. And it has to be constructed, it has to be done. All of this, so because they are mostly not photographs or films. Of course, a 360 film is also sometimes considered a virtual reality, although it is not interactive, but all the objects that are there, either for educational purposes or for commercial purposes, they have to be created, imagined, and elaborated. So we have got the whole reality in front of us to emerge, and artists are the ones to construe it.
And what is the cost implication of such an undertaking? How expensive is this project?
So this is the project, as I said, most based on the research. So it is we are not delivering any new technologies or tools as the effect of our research. We might. But it is not the main thing that we have to do. So we have got money for traveling of Kenyan and European researchers for research, and it is like €1,600,000.
Okay, right. So let's discuss the metaverse. What is it? Let's just start there.
Depends how you understand it, how you approach it. Is again like with the virtual reality, people imply this concept in different situations, and then appears confusion because, for example, I don't know if you ask me what is metaverse concept of Mark Zuckerberg, or what is this metaverse concept in a more metaphorical way, like thought through this general understanding of virtual reality.
The general bit of it. Right, that is what we are looking at. So as you explore these, how long have you been here on the project?
Since a month now.
A month now. How has the experience been so far?
Amazing. Amazing colleagues here. And what I found, it's not only coming here with our plan agenda, but let's open our agenda to discuss and to be, and to share and to build upon that. So it is also an enormous surprising thing that we can see and be more creative together here in Kenya, and it has been, it's going on a lot of creativity here. So, and we can also bring our creativity. So it has been from the startup standpoint, from the educational standpoint. So this all covers all the work packages of the projects, binding together people, sharing, connecting, and I think it will be wonderful to see what will be the results. But I would put the focus on creativity.
Right, creativity.
Kenya,
there's a time I was watching a real estate show, and an interior designer used VR to help the potential homeowners decide the design they wanted for their house. So I would like you to speak to the areas that VR can be used to just solve day-to-day problems. Professor Aleksandra.
Yes, there are a lot of applications and there are appearing new ones. This experience that you had is already being packaged, for example, by IKEA. That you can use mostly AR functionality, so augmented reality, in order to see if some products will fit into your living room. Okay. So for example, how will this armchair look in this corner, or how this table will look in this space? And then you don't have to try, and then it doesn't work. Let's send it away. The same is with shops, with clothing, and statistics shows many young people are not really very much going out for shopping. They are shopping online. So this is a kind of next stage when you can really try and fit on the clothes on your also scanned body. So then this dress or these trousers will fit. There is a lot of use also of VR in educational trainings, not like at academies, but for vocational training. Okay. Because vocational training is embodied, it is something that you do, and you have to know where to grab something from, where to turn, what to put where. And when you prepare workers for some factory, you can speak to them in the boardroom, yes, but it is much less effective than when it is done in VR. For example, it was Follow Height, I think, having workshops, trainings for Coca-Cola company, how to deal with bottles and cages and whatever in VR, and they have made this kind of comparison. What kind of training is more efficient, either physical in the boardroom or in virtual reality? And much more effective in this case was virtual reality. But it is not only for low-skilled workers. It is also for contrary, well-educated professionals like doctors or surgeons, because then you can get to know and try and even cut, some organs of a person, in virtual reality, not causing any harm, So you can train without a risk of harming anybody. So this is also a very good methodology. And there are also this as I said, artistic kind of uses, that the museums, for example, very interesting. If somebody has VR goggle glasses, you can download it for free. Museum of Other Realities. It was prepared from Canada and it is ongoing, but it is very interesting experience, so that you can really understand what does it mean to deal with virtual reality art, because it is not digitalized painting or digitalized sculpture that is moved into VR, but this is something completely new appearing. But there are also another kind of uses, also with social framework in the mind, or like with a social impact in their intention. So, so for example, there can be such games for children, how to pick waste, you know, and recycle it, and later see that the trees are growing. Mm-hmm. So you are doing something, you are learning something, and you see the effect of your action. Yes, and then it is really full of impact, also of emotional and, you know, intellectual impact, so that you can transfer your activity also to physical world and maybe not leave waste all around and recycle it nicely. Mm-hmm. But there can be also another things, like for example, anti-discriminational trainings can be more efficient. And it was Brian Afande from Black Rhino VR who pointed me to this matter, you know. Look on the boring PDF anti-discrimination, and what? Is it engaging? Yeah. Not at all. Mm-hmm. But when we make it AR, that it starts to move, that it engages us, it is already something. But for example, if a man puts VR glasses and finds himself as a woman in virtual reality and experiences harassing, it will be much more efficient, you know, to teach him that such behavior is unacceptable, because he will experience it himself. Or similarly, you know, you can turn Mzungu person into black person and give the experience of a black African. You know, like there is a possibility of this shifting perspectives that can give different kind of experience due to new virtual embodiment. Yes, so then you understand better, you have got embodied experience, what does it mean to be discriminated, to be harassed, whatever. So.
Right, those are very important pointers. Professor Helena, so what is the moral standpoint or social contrast when it comes to now VR?
Oh, there are different moral standpoints. There is one that is willing to engage new technologies, and the other that leads with the community engagement in another way. I should point at the Professor Aleksandra presentation in our symposium, and she might speak a little bit because it is really her issue when she presented at the Kenyatta University about this two different perspectives. Can you draw on that?
Sure, go ahead.
Further, please. Yes.
Yes, but these are two perspectives within this one positive perspective that you said that there are two. Because, for example, Ludi's perspective is denying technical development and is staying on the side, you know, of the matter, of the tradition, of the physical. But I'm not saying that we should go VR, but we are going VR. We are going AR. This is the way we are going. So it is important that we think how we go this way, what kind of approach we take. And yes, I have spotted kind of two explicit ethical perspectives that are being employed in thinking, considering how this new reality should be organized. I'm not saying that they are the only one. I tried to open the discussion during the symposium with this, my presentation. And one is humanistic, and is, for example, represented by UN and their recommendations, and the other is Christian. And it is very interesting to notice that really Vatican is very much following the technological development, thinking how this new world of future should be structured, also according to moral standards. And this is interesting because most of the people are hype on technology, just thinking about what is new, what new innovation appeared, how we can apply it, what is new application, and it is very exciting, I have to admit. Okay. But a part of this, it is important, like, to step back and think how we want to this new reality to be organized, because this new reality is also the environment of life. environment of where social relations are taking place. And we have to consider how to organize this space. Also, we will be meeting there a different kind of persons, perhaps, than just humans, bots running on artificial intelligence. Yes, for example, or in the real life, we might also meet cyborgs. There already exist a few in the world. So generally, we have to think what kind of approach we should take. And these two that I spotted, one is more liberal and for brotherhood and equality. The other is more based rather on values of truth and good, and trying to secure certain obedience and being decent by the society. Okay. Of course, these two perspectives never appear completely separate, and they are always mixed in a way.
Okay.
So yeah, I was trying to draw on this, sensitizing the audience to the need of ethical consideration in relation to these new realities, because the set of values that we accept will later guide us in our moral decisions in specific cases.
Right, very important. Ladies, as we come to a close of the conversation, I'd like to get your closing remarks. What do you hope to achieve? Start with you, Professor Helena.
Well, new developments in creativity, and also art production, new products for education. Well, I must tell that I'm thinking my work within the CAPHE project. And so we are willing to embrace these technologies to discover potentialities of creativity, and that's in regarding the artistic education.
Awesome. Professor Aleksandra?
Oh, there are quite a lot of things, and there are also some upcoming projects here with Kenya, Nairobi, so we will be coming here back, thinking between Poland, Portugal and Kenya, how we can employ these new technologies to decolonize the concept of art, decolonize art, and creating new narrations, not getting the cultural heritage get fossilized, but being alive. So I cannot reveal all, it is still a secret, but if it will happen, we'll meet again.
We sure hope that we do when the time comes. Thank you very much, ladies, for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
Awesome. I have been speaking with Professor Aleksandra Lukaszewicz. She is part of the team working with the communities and artistic participation in hybrid environments, as well as Professor Helena Elias. They are both researchers and coordinators. We have talked about virtual reality, what it is, and the possibilities of it coming to the Kenyan artistic space. This has been BizCheck. Thank you very much for your valued company. My name is Kiptum. Kurunzi Mashinani is coming up next. Goodbye.